was originally going to do like a small little video, like when me and Alina got back to the house and we were going to do our walking. I was going to, but you know what? A little something just happened. And now I'm like, because I'm already in a bad mood, it kind of made me even more mad. And I had to move to Texas several years ago, like before Kayla was born. I had no other option. I had to come to Texas. And, Align, of course, Align followed me because, I had to come here. I had to help my family. And so, Align followed me later on. Texas is not my home. I like Texas, but I don't love Texas. Okay? And a lot of it has to do with the fact that we're in a part of Texas to where there's literally nothing to do. There is nothing around. Literally nothing. So literally all we do is just work and sit at home. But anyhow, I've said in my videos before that Texans do not like going the speed limit. And what just happened is a clear indication. It tells me exactly why people speed through Texas and never get in trouble. It's not because cops are not around to see it. The cops actually allow them to do it. Let me do a little story time. So, I just dropped Caleb off at school. The school flashers was on, which means you go 35 miles per hour through a school zone. Now, I dropped Caleb off. I came out. There's two ways of getting in. The main entrance, and then there's like a back entrance. I went back out through the main entrance, okay? Mainly because when I pull out of the main entrance, when I pull out of the main entrance, I literally have to get into the left lane so I can do a U-turn. Okay? So, first of all, this highway patrol officer was parked in one of the worst spots that he could possibly be I almost had to pass up the little median turnaround because he was parked literally in that little third lane to turn around. So he was in a bad spot. So, anywho, I pass him up. I turn around. And of course, I'm going to do everything I possibly can because I don't want a ticket, especially not through doing anything wrong in the school zone. So, I pull out and I get in the left lane. I knew that there was a car coming, but I also noticed that they were way, way far behind me. So, I went ahead and got over into the third lane. I got up to 35. Literally, I got on 35 and put on my speed control. Right? Cruise control. So, I'm going 35 through the rest of the school zone. This car that was way, way, way back behind me got in the left lane and flew past me. And you want to know what that highway patrol officer did? I thought he was going to get him. Because he whipped his car around out of that, the little median turnaround. And he started a coming. By this time, the car was way, way ahead of me. I had already turned my cruise control off so I could get back up because it goes from 35 to 55 and then 65. Okay? So I had already turned my cruise control off because I had already passed that 55-mile marker. So I was about to speed it on up. This car is gone. He was probably already doing 55 through the whole entire school zone. So instead of putting on his lights and coming after the idiot that was speeding through a school zone, he never even turned on his lights. He whipped that car around and I was like, oh, the second here he comes. No. He eventually just turned right back around and went right back to where he had parked originally. Did not even try to catch up to this car to give him a ticket for going over 35 in a school zone. Now, yes, I know. Well, you don't know. You don't know. He might not have actually been speeding. Okay, yes, I may not have one of those little speedometer thingies that tells you when someone is actually speeding. But considering, let me tell you, considering that I grew up, I was raised by a cop who is actually now retired, a retired deputy sheriff, may I add. It's not hard, and just as a individual, it's not that hard to tell when somebody's speeding. When somebody has their cruise control set to the speed limit and someone is barreling past you, it's kind of obvious that they're speeding. But here's the thing. Here's the kicker. This ain't the first time. It's not the first time I've seen it. I will be going 65 and a 60 with my cruise control on. And someone is barreling past me. You can obviously tell that they're going 80. Past highway patrol, and he just sits there. This is why Texas people speed. Because the highway patrol and the cops, they don't really pull you over for speeding. Now, there is a little town, the town that my mom lives in, they, on the other hand, you better be going 10 miles under the speed limit or you're going to get a ticket. But even over the last couple of years, they have eased up. And that is why there are so many wrecks. People speed when they should not be speeding. Okay? I cannot stand people that speed. I know, and I have to watch myself. Because it is very, very easy for me to start speeding and not even realize it. And I've noticed that in this truck, it's harder to tell when I was speeding. When I was driving the Explorer, I could tell very easily if I was speeding or not. But in this one, it's harder to tell. And I think it's because it's bigger and it doesn't feel like it's going quite as fast. You know, I think that's why. But I have to watch myself. I have to use my cruise control all the time. If that was to ever go out, I'd be in trouble. Because that's the only thing that has saved me. That cruise control saves me. Because I do, unfortunately, have a heavier foot. Mainly because I was, kind of taught how to drive by a police officer. So, it's not very fun. Having a cop teach you how to drive. It can be fun. It can be, but it also cannot be fun. So, but yeah. So all of y'all that have, and I've seen videos on social media before of people talking about, well, they don't go the speed limit. Like, I thought it was like a stereotype. No, it ain't no stereotype. People's not just trying to make fun of Texans. They speed and the cops let them do it. I really should have just called the highway patrol and said, look, this car just sped past like a bat out of Hades. The highway patrol turned around to start to go get him and then just decided to stop. I should have thrown that cop right up under the bus and the bulldozer. I should have, but I didn't. Instead, I decided to make a video so I can talk about it and get my anger out, my aggravation out, instead of calling and letting my anger and my rage out on someone who did not deserve it on this very bright, chilly Tuesday morning. Because I know whoever would answer the phone is the one that would have gotten my wrath. And I was like, no, I don't need to do that. So instead, I let my wrath out on a video. So, now, I will say this. And I know that y'all could be like, well, you don't know, something could have happened that he had to turn on. That is very true. That is definitely very possible. Okay. But considering that I could see him go right back to his place that he was parked originally and never turn his lights on for anything, it kind of tells me that wasn't. Because if there was something else, he would have turned his lights on, or he would have kept going. He would have kept driving. But no, I could see the fact that he just went right back to his spot and parked his car. So, and I'm not bashing the police. I will not ever do. Do I have problems with some of them? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Not all cops are bad. Not all cops are good. And, we're kind of in this phase to where, trying to teach the kids that if something goes wrong, you call 911. If something goes wrong, you find the nearest police officer, And for the most part, I do believe that the majority of cops are good. I have had some run-ins with some actual real dirty cops. So has my dad. The police department that he was part of, there was a few of them. They were very quite dirty. And they got them too. Which is what they deserve. If you're dirty, you deserve to get got. I'm just saying. But anyhow, that's not what this video is about. But it irritates me. You're supposed to uphold the law. There is a reason why there is a school zone. There's a reason why you're supposed to go slower in a school zone. There's a reason. There are children being dropped off and picked up by their parents. And if someone is going too fast and they lose control, they could hit a child that is just simply trying to get into their vehicle to go home after a long day of school. So there is a reason for it. Yeah, you can still lose control over a car that's going at a lower speed. But even if you do, because you're not going quite as fast, you might not do quite as much damage. Yes, you can still do a lot of damage to a little bitty body. Yes, I do know that. I do understand that. I have heard, like I said, my dad's an ex-cop. I've heard stories. He's also ex-army. I have heard some horror stories that involving children and vehicles. Trust me, I honestly don't think that there's anything that has not happened to a child that I've not heard of. I mean, it's just between my own personal experiences with my biological father being a piece of crap and still deserves to be in prison. And the stories that I've heard from my dad being an ex-cop as well as ex-military, my ex-stepdad being in the military, which he didn't really see too much because he was just part of the National Guard, but he did still see things. My ex-brother-in-law is also ex-army. I've always been surrounded by cops and military people because, let's be honest, that's my mom's type. Sorry, Mom. But it is. I'm just saying. I have other family members on my biological dad's side that's in law enforcement. The kids' nanny, the one that used to babysit them, her husband worked for one of our local law enforcement agencies. He worked for the police department. He now has retired and he works for, well, somewhere I can't actually say, but he's still part of law enforcement. It's just not like a local police department. He's part of, well, one of the little triple letters. So I mean, I've just always been surrounded, so I've always heard horror stories. And the fact that hold on, she's antsy. And just because I've heard these horror stories and I deal with anxiety and I'm always constantly worried about Caleb anyhow, because sometimes, one, just as a small 5-year-old child, he can't always think. He doesn't, because he doesn't know. He's still learning. And the fact that there are things that Elena already knows that Caleb doesn't, because it's hard for Caleb to sit down and be able to learn it. He hears it, but it goes like in one ear and out the other. That's the ADHD. And so I'm always going to be a little bit more worried about Caleb. Even though that he's older and he's a boy, I'm still always going to be a little bit more worried about him. Because she can comprehend things and keep it even at a younger age. He has a harder time comprehending it and keeping it because the ADHD makes his brain go so fast to where he has a harder time comprehending it. And I know that because I deal with that on a daily basis. So it really irritates me. It aggravates me. It makes me mad. It hurts my heart, my mommy heart, because my thought is, okay, what if something happened? He could have hit my child. Someone lost control of their speeding vehicle because they're speeding through a school zone. That could be my child. But then again, it could happen to someone else's child. I can imagine how I would feel if it was my child. So I ain't only imagine what it would be like for another parent, because I can actually put myself in those shoes. I can imagine it. And so, like, if there is one thing that I could ever ask of you guys, and I love y'all, I really, really do, but no matter where you are in the world, the one thing I will always ask: do not speed through a school zone. You really don't need to speed, period. Because that can put you and just other people in general in danger. But when it comes to a school zone, please be very mindful of going through school zones, especially bright and early in the morning and a little bit later on in the afternoon. I won't really put a time on that because, school zones, times are always different. Here we pick Caleb up at 3:30. It might be a little bit later in other places. Some schools are just different, states are different. But, find out. When those lights are flashing, please slow it down. And there are times to where if you see a bunch of cars parked on the side, but the lights aren't flashing, slow down. Because that means that them stupid lights ain't working. Trust me. Been there, done that. So, please be mindful. Okay? I love y'all and appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for all the love that y'all are showing me and our family by all the subscriptions. I do appreciate it. You guys are awesome. But always be mindful. Please. This is coming from a mom that has lost kids before. I had 3 miscarriages before I had Caleb. And losing another child would be extremely hard. And I would not want that to happen to anyone. Just like I know that y'all would not want that to happen to you or anyone that you know. So, sorry. Rambling. But, yeah. So, anyhow, she's getting antsy. And I know that she wants to go walk and pick her flowers. So, we're going to go walk for a minute. And then we're going to go inside. And I'm going to... Yes, sissy. We're going to go in and we're going to eat. Obviously. If that's what you want.
Yeah, not my favorite.
Okay, obviously she's going to have a banana because that's her favorite. Obviously.
And my favorite tea.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to end up making me some coffee. And I'm probably going to go just kind of...
I don't like coffee.
Well, you've never had coffee and you shall never have coffee. What I'm probably going to try to do... Normally, I sit on the couch. But what I'm probably going to do is after she gets done eating and goes to her room and she's playing with her toys and stuff, I'm probably just going to go sit in mine to where I can kind of close myself off. I mean, we are in an RV, so it's not like I still can't hear and see her. I can hear and see everything she does. But I think I'm just going to close myself off in my room for a few minutes just to kind of collect myself because I've been very, very irritated this morning. And the kids aggravated me. They made me very, very mad this morning. And then with the cop making me mad. And now that I kind of went from talking about speeding to why we don't need to speed through school zones, my emotions had went the complete opposite direction. And now all I want to do is sit in a corner and cry. So, I told y'all, when my little medical condition, when it flares up, I've told y'all before, my emotions change just like that. Like, what's faster than instantaneously? I can go from one end to the other in a matter of seconds. And it's really annoying. It's really annoying to myself because I see it, but it's really hard for me to control. It's hard for the kids because they don't know what's coming next. And, well, it kind of really just makes Align mad because, well, it just makes him mad. He hates dealing with it. He hates dealing with it. He really, really, truly does. And he's a trooper for dealing with it. He really is. We did not realize it was going to be, when we found out, we did not realize it was going to be this bad.
Mommy.
But also we thought that I might be able to take some of the medication, but I cannot because it makes matters worse for me. It pretty much takes my emotions and the emotions that I go through. It takes them and it amplifies them by, not to exaggerate, but it probably amplifies them by probably 1,000 or a couple thousand. That's not exaggerating. I'm being completely dead serious. I have done things while being on this medication and I would get so angry to where I have done things that I literally had no control over, and I had to tell my doctor about it. And yeah, not only that, my kids actually went to their nannies because this happened while they were still going to nannies and told her what happened. And boy, that woman was not happy with me. I can't say I blame her. I wasn't happy with myself. Once I was able to actually get control of my emotions, I was not very happy with myself either. Grams wasn't either. Grams sat there and cried because she felt so bad. Because my Grams had this problem too. Even though that Grams was not family, like we were not blood related, she actually had this problem herself when her kids were little. And so... So she knew exactly what I was going through. And so, yeah, I had a really long talk with her. And she helped, kind of even, kind of mellow things out. But then it got even worse when I went to go pick the kids up. Because they had already tattled on me to Nanny and Uncle, which, he's the retired cop. Yeah, they were not very happy with me. And I'm like, I'm sorry. But she was a retired RN, which is why I loved her. I love her so much. She has helped me through a lot of medical stuff, because of that reason right there. I've learned a lot of stuff that I've learned medical wise has come from Nene. And yeah. So when I was talking to her, telling her what was going on and the medication that I was on, she says, I'm not going to repeat exactly what she said, but pretty much, oh, heck no. Get your little behind up off that medicine. Don't you ever take that again. Why'd they even put you on that crap? They know, even I know that makes things worse. That's the last thing they should have put you on. No. Honey, find you another doctor. Go get a different doctor. Don't go to them no more. They wacky. So, I've been on several different medications. They all do the same thing. So, and I can't be on antidepressants either. There's a lot of medications I can't be on. Antidepressants make me zone out to where I'm a zombie. And there's one antidepressant. I can't remember what the name of it is. I think it's Zoloft. I think. Don't quote me, but I think it is. That I can be standing up at the stove cooking and I get tired and sleepy so quickly to where I will like kind of fall over. I'm not passing out. It's like I'm actually falling asleep. I do it while I'm driving. I've fallen off of my couch 3 different times because I'd be sitting there watching TV and like I'm like wide awake. Wow. Just like that. So, there's a lot of different medications that I can't take because they don't agree with me. So, that's why I take my ibuprofen, my little my over-the-counter pain medication for if my body is in pain. And that's all I take. Because I know that's not going to make me fall asleep at the wheel when my baby's in the car. So, again, I'm rambling again. So, anywho, we're going to go walk. Then we're going to feed Lena. And then Mommy's going to go have her quiet. I'm going to go have my coffee and my quiet time in my room. So, she's going to go to her room, be by herself. I'm going to go to my room and be by myself. So, with that being said, we're off. And we will see you guys next tea time.